Hello and welcome to Restore 2022, an opportunity for us to be reading together God's Word, to be growing in our knowledge for Him and to be living for Him. Today we're reading from Titus chapter 1. It's a letter which is written by Paul to his mentee Titus. It's not personal, it's more like a business letter. And when we deal with, in our readings with the 1st and 2nd Timothy letters, we're going to deal a little bit more with what happened to Paul while he was waiting for his trial in Rome. There are different takes on that. But towards the end of Paul's life, Titus had moved north to Dalmatia. This we know from 2 Timothy, which is eastern side of the Adriatic Sea. This is a familiar place for me. Now there is a rumor, this is just a rumor, that Titus might have been martyred in the 1st century Roman amphitheater in Durrës, which is the city I was born. But at the point when the letter was written, Titus was dealing with church leadership matters in Crete, and he needed some guidance. Now, there is something striking about the way that the letter starts with a salutation to Titus, and there is a big difference with 1st and 2nd Timothy. Especially Paul elaborates on his apostleship, verses 1 to 3. Now, this phenomenon is found only elsewhere in Romans. Now, this is one single, extremely complex Greek sentence, and actually concludes with a note about Paul's apostleship as a trust. But the main thrust, however, emphasizes the purpose of that apostleship. Paul is to bring God's people to faith and truth, and therefore to life. And we know that this is the case why he is writing to Titus. Titus' name is not mentioned in Paul's missionary journeys in the book of Acts, but Paul mentions him when he is referring to him in the letter to Corinthians, Galatians, and 2 Timothy. But the letter starts with this amazing relationship, Paul and Titus, my true son in the common faith, grace and peace. Then we notice the reason why Titus is left in Crete, to appoint church leaders in order that the church is led in a godly manner and guarded from misleading false teachers. Now, the leaders here in this letter are referred as elders, overseers, and God's stewards. Now, the elder, the term, was a very familiar idea among the Jews. These were the people who would lead the synagogues, they would preside in the Sanhedrin, they would govern towns and villages. So it was a position of wisdom and maturity. Then there is the term that is used as the overseer. We see Paul uses this in verse 7. And the overseer and the elder are not two distinct offices. These titles are used interchangeably in the New Testament. So an elder is an overseer. And as the title suggests, the duty is to watch over, is to protect, is to promote the spiritual well-being of the people. And the third term that is used there is stewards. Now, this is hidden from the NIV translation, and the more literal rendering would be that an overseer must be blameless as a steward of God. The steward was a man whom a wealthy master would put in charge of his household or business. It was a position of considerable trust. It required someone who was wise, faithful, and trustworthy. So Titus is asked to be appointing leaders as elders, overseers, and stewards. And actually, he was not only looking that they would be above reproach and good reputation, but he was also looking for people who would be able to teach the truth and those who would be able to challenge those in error. So the instructions are clear here. Godliness, holding firmly to the trustworthy teachings, and faithfully waiting for Christ's return. These are expectations and marks for anyone in their way of discipleship. But let alone how much more important this is for church leadership. Because faith is practical, and the truthfulness of claims about God not just for the people of Crete, but any follower of Jesus, ought to match with words, beliefs, wealth management, and actions. It is paramount to understand that for these earliest converts in Crete, it's significant to the credibility of the gospel to be of a good character. It's significant to have experienced the transforming power of the gospel. So Christian leadership is not about charisma, but about faithfulness in waiting on Christ's return, faithfulness in godly character, and sound teaching. This should be the strategy of any church in appointing leaders.